Welcome to the next lesson on earning money. Today we're going to have a quick look at government allowances. And this is basically a fortnightly payment from the government to certain families or individuals based on some circumstances in their life. So, for example, on the screen here we've got pensioners, for those people who have reached a certain age and they're deemed to no longer have to work anymore, that they get paid fortnightly allowance from the government. You've got youth allowance, where a bunch of young people who are studying at TAFE or uni or still at school, even if they're of the right age, or they're in an apprenticeship, they can get paid an allowance from the government to help their ongoing costs, as well as low-income families. So those who don't earn enough to pay the ongoing costs of living, like rent and food and bills and stuff like that, they get an allowance from the government as well. So what I've done here is I've pulled a table and a bit of a screenshot from the Centrelink website of the payment rates for youth allowance. So with youth allowance, we're dealing with young people. As you can see, it's dealing with people around the 18 years old mark to around about 25. And on any given circumstance, you have a maximum fortnightly payment. So for people who are single with no children and they're under 18 living at home, they get the smallest amount for $223. Whereas it starts to go up a bit if you are single with no children, 18 years or more, and you're required to live away from home for that study. You get paid almost twice as much to be able to cover the costs of having to pay your own rent and stuff. So we're going to use this as an example for our upcoming questions. So our first one is, we've got Ryan, and he is single with no children. He's 18 years or more of age, and he's required to live away from home for his study. So having a look at this, the important information is that we're looking for how much does he make in a year, and it's important to note that the table on here gives how much he earns a fortnight on any given circumstance. So having a look at his little bits, he is single, he's got no children, he's 18 years or more, and he has to live away from home. So using all of those bits of information, we're looking at this one here. So Ryan earns $407.50 a fortnight. So we need to write that down. To calculate his yearly wage, we need to get how much he makes a fortnight, which is what the table gives us, and then times it by 26. So we've got our $407.50 times 26, and straight up that just gives us $10,595 per annum. So remember, when we're writing our answers here in general math, we need to make sure we put the units on it. So my dollar sign is there, and this is his earnings per year. So we need to make sure we show that we understand our answer and put per annum at the end of it. And that's really all there is to it. What happens here, though, is that other circumstances can come into play, and we have a few more situations that are a little more difficult to deal with. So we're going to keep with Ryan, and we're going to keep with his previous earnings of just about $10.5 grand a year from his youth allowance payments. But now he's picked up a casual job at his local IGA supermarket. He works 2 days a week and earns a total of $235 for that week. Now what the government does is they usually have some sort of penalty rates or deductions for earnings that you make. So they base their fortnightly payments on the fact that you don't earn money any other way. But once you start to earn money, they say you don't need our money as much, and we're going to start to reduce it. So his youth allowance is reduced by $1 for every $5 that he earns after $300. So he's allowed to earn up to $300, and the government will not take any money away from him. However, once he starts earning over that $300 a fortnight, they're going to take away $1 for every $5. So this question here is to calculate his new youth allowance payment for the fortnight where he works both weeks. So he earns $235 for a week. He works both weeks, and we've got to go from there. So the first thing we need to do is get our important information. So we highlighted $235. His youth allowance is reduced by $1 for every 5 after 300. Now that's a bit of information there, but we need to keep it together. And the question is actually asking, what is his total youth allowance after deductions? So let's have a look. First up, we need to work out the difference between how much he earns and $300. Because remember, he's allowed to earn up to $300 without any penalties, but after that, he starts to get them. So his IGA earnings minus the $300 threshold means he gets 235 a week, and youth allowance payments are per fortnight, so we need to double that, which ends up being $170 for the fortnight, is how much he's going to get penalised on. Now, the important information of his actual penalties is $1 for every $5. So what we need to do is work out how many lots of $5 does he earn over the threshold. So we do 170 divided by 5, and that gives us 34. And because it's for every dollar, for every $5, this $34 here is straight up our answer right away. We don't need to adjust that. So now we need to work out his total youth allowance after deductions. So his youth allowance payment is his original $407.50 minus the $34 deduction, which gives him $373.50. Now, for all those who just want to see what happens, we've got a bit of a bonus mark here, is how much is Ryan's total fortnightly wage. So pause the video now and give it a bit of a go. You've got how much Ryan earns after deductions on his youth allowance, and you've got how much Ryan earns per week from his job. So use that information to pull together how much Ryan earns in a total fortnight. So pause the video, give that a go. Alright, if you didn't give it a go and you're still watching, that's fine. If you did and you're back, welcome back, and let's just see how you went. So what happens is Ryan gets his $235 per week. You times it by 2 because payments are fortnightly in youth allowance, and from the government you add on his $373.50, which is his new youth allowance payment, and gives you a total of $843.50 per fortnight. So he's doing far better now that he's got a little bit of a job, but it might be taking him time away from his studies, so he's got to balance that out. And that's what you've got to consider when you're doing this yourself, is there are penalty rates for youth allowance, but you typically will earn more money than you do getting payments from the government, but you're also using up some of your time to get that money. So that's it, and I look forward to seeing you in class.